understand I have about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Actually, it told me 4 to 5 minutes. I'll tell you, I was the president of Lutheran Child and Family Services in Indiana and Danville, Kentucky. And I remember when I first visited a Lutheran church, they were talking about Martin Luther. So I grew up in a Baptist church, and I thought they were talking about Martin Luther King. So the pastor told me, he said, you have 4 to 5 minutes to speak, and I went for 45 minutes. And so I think I told my good friend, David, that's probably why they put me last on the agenda today. So let me talk to you about Boys and Girls Clubs. This organization is near and dear to my heart. I was a kid that grew up in Boys and Girls Club. I grew up in a public housing development by the name of Cabrini Green. Cabrini Green was a public housing development that was infested with gangs, drugs, and prostitution. And I didn't realize the impact that Boys and Girls Clubs had on my life until I started working for Chicago Public Schools. And the superintendent of schools and my former principal asked if I would be the commencement speaker. I had never, ever given a speech in my life, and so I was so excited about talking to these kids. I stayed up all night writing this speech. And then as I'm walking in the building, I literally had to tear my speech up because they still had our 8th grade graduation picture on the wall. And out of 23 young men that graduated with me, as of that day, only 4 of us were still alive. So then I asked God, I said, why did God give us grace? And there was 4 things that we all had in common. We all came from single-family households where our mothers were forced to be reckoned with. We were all connected to a church. We were all members of the Boys and Girls Club, and we all had positive adults who were mentors in our lives. So fast forward to this day, I serve as the CEO of Boys and Girls Clubs in Dan County, and I look at the challenges that our community kids face. A lot of our kids are not connected to our churches, and we have to do something about that. A lot of our kids can't read and write. In fact, we live in a region where only 36% of our kids can read and write at proficiency. I was one of those kids. I went to University of Minnesota. Don't hold it against me. And eventually, I got kicked out because I couldn't read and I couldn't write. So it ended up taking me 8 years to get a bachelor's degree because I had to go to a junior college and I had to take almost 2.5 years of preparatory courses. But once I got my reading and my math up to par, I was able to get an MBA and a bunch of other certifications. And I'm thinking about our kids in this community. Our kids need positive adults around them. And we can, some people say, well, kids that's in poverty won't do well. I disagree. If you all Google Boys and Girls Club and some of the recent success that we have had, 85%, I'm not talking about 10 or 15 kids, 85% of our kids over the last 3 years are in college. I'm talking about 800 kids that's in college. And the university has, over the last 5 years, have done a study that shows that Boys and Girls Club kids' GPAs are better, their attendance is better, they're taking more rigorous courses because we have positive adults like our good friend David in the back that volunteers his time, his talent, and his treasure to support local kids in our community. So I'm going to ask you to consider whether it's the Boys and Girls Club or any organization. We have a strong commitment to children. We're serving about 3,000 kids. We have a strategic plan that we put in place that by 2018 we want to touch the lives of 10,000 kids. And we want 90% of our kids to not only graduate from high school, but we want them to graduate from college. We also want to put kids to work. If some of you probably have heard that we have created the largest jobs program for teenagers in this community in a long time. It's not a lot, but I've been meeting with the county executive and the mayor. So we need to put 1,000 kids to work and keep kids off the streets, to keep them busy, to connect them to careers. So these kids are going to earn $250,000 over the summer. 33 local businesses stepped up. Our local municipalities stepped up. And we're going to have these kids exposed to career opportunities because every kid won't graduate from college, but we want to make sure that every kid is prepared for college or prepared for a career. If we do that, we will have a stronger community, because for every kid that don't graduate from high school, don't have a degree, you and I, as taxpayers, will pay over that young person's lifetime. We will pay $200,000 for every young person, because they will become dependent on public resources. So I'm asking you today, David, the team, and I'm thankful that this church is supporting Biker Boys and Girls Club. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. Some of you all probably heard I've done all kinds of crazy things to raise money for these kids. Last year I slept on the top of a trailer for 4 days in 100-degree heat. And I'll tell you this quick story and I'm going to wrap up, Pastor. Last year, I told our team, that every year I want the goals to go up, because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we're having an impact in these kids' lives. And we have to think in abundance and not in scarcity. And we have to make sure that our kids have the resources that they need. So that may have to sleep on a roof, a trailer, whatever it takes is going to happen. So last year, we did it in July, 4 days before the bike ride, and it happened to be 101 degrees. And so while I'm out there, some photographer shows up, say, hey, can I take a picture with you and some of the Boys and Girls Club kids? It was so hot that as he was taking the picture, the first 20 minutes I was out there, I threw up all of the kids. And so he was like, oh my God, Mr. Johnson, what's wrong? So somebody put some Gatorade in this big container. They kept telling me every 5 minutes, drink the Gatorade. They put too much concentration, in it. So I will do anything. I'll drink Gatorade. I will come to church. I will come to a picnic. And our team and our volunteers work tirelessly to make sure that our kids achieve it. I believe that we are not going to transform these kids' lives unless we are in our public schools, working with our teachers. 70% of our staff work during the school day. We're not a traditional after-school program. So most of our staff work during the school day, in the evenings, on weekends, and then the other connection we have to make is to faith-based institutions like this. Some of our strongest institutions are faith-based organizations, and we have to find a way to connect our kids. So I hope you will support Biker Boys and Girls Club. I hope you consider volunteering your time. I hope you consider being a mentor to any kid in this community. I know we all have our own lives, but please don't forget about our community's kids. Thank you all so much.